Good morning, friends. Welcome to my channel. Today I am going to visit a beautiful temple. The name of the temple is Vitthala Temple. It is located in the Palshi Village, Taluka Parner, District Nagar in Maharashtra. This temple was constructed by Anand Palshikar, who was the general in Peshwa army. Because of his bravery and gallantry, he was rewarded Palshi village and where he constructed this beautiful Vitthala temple alongside of river Palshi. Also, he constructed their beautiful palace and fort. So let us explore this temple there. Now I have come to Palshi Vitthala temple. The campus of this temple is really big and well maintained. You can see pavement blocks all over. And here it is a very huge tamarind tree. The trunk of this tamarind tree is almost 2 meter diameter. And you see this is a facade of Vitthala temple. The temple is fortified by rock walls. This is magnificent entrance of this beautiful fortified temple. On the outer part of this temple, we get to see many carvings from the 17th century. And above this entrance, there is Nagar Khana. In a very first impression, we get to see beautiful carvings of flower artistically made at the bottom of each step of the entrance. At the top of this entrance, in each corner, we can say rock cut fragile and intricate designs. The craftsmen from the North India were invited to construct this temple in 17th century. Now I have entered into the main temple premises where I see this grand and magnificent Vitthala temple. This temple is of Nagara or Bhumija type of temple architecture. This temple consists of Upasabha Mandapas, Sabha Mandapa, Antarala, and Garbhagruha. All Upasabha Mandapas and Sabha Mandapa are constructed on 18 pillars. Each pillar is having height of 9 feet and also all three Upasabha Mandapas are having 9 steps. This temple is facing towards west direction. It has three Upasabha Mandapas at each direction, that is north, south, and west. As I mentioned earlier, there are 18 pillars who are supporting this entire temple. The 18 pillars represent 18 Puranas. And also I mentioned there are 9 steps at each Upasabha Mandapa. They represent 9 types of Bhakti Yoga. Taking references from spirituality and imbibing them into the masterpiece of art is the final output in the form of this beautiful temple. This is Upasaba Mandapa, located at the north direction of this temple. This Upasaba Mandapa is constructed on four main pillars, and at the top we can see beautiful carving of blooming lotus flower. The pillars of this Upasaba Mandapa are adorned with beautiful and mind-blowing carvings. The prominent thing I notice here is that the entire temple is constructed on the theme of Jalakalash or Jalakumbha. So here you see at the bottom of the pillar a miniature carving of Jalakumbha in the shape of flower. And above that there is a design of peepal tree leaf. The middle part of the pillar is in hexagonal shape. At the top of the pillar, to hold the horizontal plinth, there is beautiful design support. Below that, you see here mesmerizing carving of flowers and motif at the top of the pillar that we call stambha shirsh. And very interestingly, we get to see rock cut design of bell with a chain impression. Here it is a torch holder, which is also rock cut and attached to the pillar. In the night, to hold the torch, this provision is made. The middle of the horizontal pillar, we see this beautiful carving of lotus flower. Every pillar is identical and adorned with beautiful carvings. Let us enter into the main Sabha Mandapa from this north side Upasabha Mandapa. And here we get to see big size sculpture of tortoise on the floor. After 17th century, Rangashila was replaced with the sculpture of tortoise in the temple. At the top of the Sabha Mandapa, we see huge dome and it is in circular form. In the center, we see beautiful sculpture or carving of blooming lotus flower. Around, there are seven Sursundaris along with Lord Krishna playing flute. I think this dome structure was restored somewhere in 18th century because it does not seem to be the part of the original temple architecture. Here it is a grandeur of the entrance of the Garbhagruha. The Garbhagruha is connected to Sabha Mandapa through Antarala with the two pillars. At each side of the Garbhagruha entrance there are two Dev Koshtakas where deities are placed. Here in the right side Dev Koshtaka we see a statue of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is shown in the Padmanabhan form because he is holding his devices in following order. In his right front hand he is holding lotus flower. In backward right hand he is holding chakra. In left backward hand he is holding mace or gada. And then in his front left hand he is holding koch or shank. In the left side Dev Koshtaka, we get to see beautiful statue of Gajalakshmi. And here, if you notice, she is sitting on a lotus flower and two elephants are pouring Jal Kalash on her head. So this statue is called Gajalakshmi. Above this Devkostaka, the rock-cut sculptures of two elephants fighting with each other fiercely and being controlled by their mouths are shown. These two Devkostakas might have been placed in later period of the time. It's not a part of original temple architecture. At the entrance of the Garbhagruha on the floor, we get to see this marvelous and beautiful design of Rangoli. This design is made on the rock. This mesmerizing design is chiseled with a sheer precision and artistic view. This proves the superior skill set of the craftsmen of bygone ages. In this rock-cut, mind-blowing design of Rangoli, we get to see carving of Shank, along with carving of flowers and motif. In the middle, this is carving of Shank. It is beautiful. At the border, we can see wave pattern or wave design. Here it is rock-cut Shank. Other side carving is the mirror image of the first one, except a miniature carving of chakra on a shank. This is door frame or dwar shaka at the entrance of the Garbhagruha. This dwar shaka does not seem to be the original one and might have been replaced in a later point of time because the original might have been destroyed. And generally, dwar shaka represents what deity or god is worshipped inside the Garbhagruha. On this Dwarshaka, we get to see sculptures of many deities. We could identify them by their mounts. Here is the sculpture of Lord Sadashiv, whose mount is Nandi. Then this carving is Goddess Chamunda, whose mount is corpse. Above that, there is a carving of Goddess Durga, whose mount is lion. Aside, there is a carving of Goddess Nageshwari, whose mount is snake. And here at the top, we get to see many carvings of God Vishnu, God Brahma, and God Mahesh. At the other hand side, we can also identify some carvings by their mount. Like, again, here is a carving of Goddess Chamunda, whose mount is corpse. Here is a carving of God Varuna or Varun Devata, whose mount is crocodile. Here is a carving of Sanadevta, sun god, whose mount is horse. This carving might be of Agni Devta, whose mount seems to be the goat. This carving is of Indra Devta, whose mount is Airavat elephant. And here is a threshold or mandarak. In temple architecture, threshold is called mandarak. At the threshold, we get to see the spires carving of Kirtimukha. Kirtimukha is spotted with bulging eyes and horns. In the center, we see semicircular structure that we call Chandrashila, and it is in the form of the semicircular shape that's similar to the half moon shape. That's what the name is derived Chandrashila. And generally, it is beautified or adorned with many intricate and fragile design. You can notice this intricate and fragile design at the bottom of the Chandrashila and see how precisely the shape is carved from a single stone without without having any advanced machineries. The shape is precise in semicircular form. Here also we get to see the sculpture of Kirtimukha. Generally we get to see sculpture or carving of Kirtimukha at Mandarak, that's a threshold. And this is the grand and beautiful entrance of the Garbhagruha. Here, at the top of the Antarala passage, we can see this beautiful panel having beautiful sculptures and carving. Here at the right, we see Lord Ganesha along with Riddhi and Siddhi with his mount Mushaka. In the middle, you see Lord Krishna is shown with calf and cows along with Gopikas and friends. And at the extreme left, we see the carvings of Rama, Sita, and Lakshman. So the point is that you see this panel at the top of the Antarala. That means every inch of the space of the temple is utilized properly. This is a perfect example of space management in a temple. No single inch of the space of the temple is wasted here. Every nook and corner is adorned with beautiful carvings and sculptures. At the horizontal pillar of the Antarala, I found this beautiful carving of blooming lotus flower. This blooming lotus flower is generally seen in ancient temples. And the uniqueness of this blooming lotus flower is it symbolizes the universe. As the universe was created from the singularity, the same analogy is represented through this blooming lotus flower in this carving. Now, I am entering into the Garbhagruha of this temple. That's a sanctum sanctorum. And in sanctum sanctorum, we see beautiful sculpted idol of Lord Vitthala along with marble idols of Rahi and Rakhumai alongside. This beautiful idol of Lord Vitthala is in the form of Lord Krishna and is made of shaligram stone. This beautiful idol of Lord Vitthala is made from single shaligram stone. At the bottom east side we get to see miniature beautiful carvings of cows and gopalas. And they all are looking at Vitthala up. At the outer skirt of this beautiful idol, we get to see carvings of 10 avatars of Lord Vishnu. Here is a carving of Matsya avatar. This is carving of Varaha avatar. Then comes Lord Vamana. Here is a carving of Lord Rama. Above that, this carving is of Lord Buddha. Then Lord Vitthala in the form of Lord Krishna here in this idol. This is a carving of Kalki avatar. Here it is a carving of Balarama. Sometimes Balaram also shown as one of the avatar of Lord Vishnu. This is carving of Parshurama. And here this carving is of Narsimha avatar who is shown half man, half lion, and who is actually killing demon Hiranyakashipu. This carving is of Lord Vishnu in the form of Kachavatar. At the top of the Garbhagruha, there is a circular design, and in the center, there is a carving of blooming lotus flower. This entire structure is called Nabhichand because this structure consists of circular type of designs, and in the center there is a carving of blooming lotus flower, and it was very popular in 16th 17th 18th century. Here I pray to Lord Vitthala, let the lamp of the wisdom be lightened up in the minds of all humans. We have explored this temple from inside. Now let us explore this temple from outside and let us find out the iconography on the exterior part of this temple. Very first thing we get to notice here this Makar Pranal. Makar Pranal is a provision to take out the accumulated water from the Garbhagruha to the outside of the temple. And this provision is adorned and beautified with the sculpture of Makara, a mythical and aquatic animal. So you can see here this beautiful sculpture of Makara. From his mouth the water is taken out. On the plan, the Adhisthana of this temple is in diagonal shape, and at the Adha Padma section of this temple here you see the beautiful sculptures of two elephants fighting with each other, and below that there is a provision to collect the water coming from the Makar Pranala. Now, this is the north side of this temple. On the exterior part of this temple at north side, we got to see two Dev Koshtakas. One Dev Koshtaka is situated on the Janga portion of the wall and other is located on the Gopura. Above the Makar Pranal, there is a beautiful rock cut Dev Koshtaka. In the Dev Koshtaka, there are two beautiful rock cut idols. Who are they? The one idol is of Lord Shiva and other is of Goddess Parvati. And Goddess Parvati is holding a kalash in her hand. The idea is that Shiva and Parvati both are going to have their holy bath in the river, and this instance is perfectly and beautifully depicted in this Dev Koshtaka. Underneath of the Dev Koshtaka, where we saw beautiful idols of Shiva and Parvati, we get to see two miniature sculptures. One is of tiger and other is of goat, and they are shown together there. As I mentioned earlier, on the north exterior part of this temple there are two Devkostaka. The lowermost Devkostaka we saw, and here is the uppermost Devkostaka which is located on the Gopura of this temple. In this Devkostaka, the deity is Kubera. Kubera is the guardian of north direction. He is the deity of north direction. Hence, we get to see here the carving of Kubera. As I mentioned earlier, on the plan of this temple, Adhisthana is in the form of diagonal shape. That means, imagine you have a rectangle and you are rotating the rectangle clockwise, where you are taking interval at a certain degree, say for example 30 degree, and then you bring back the rectangle to its original position, that's a 0 degree. The shape that will be formed will be of blooming lotus flower, and the same concept is used here. This is east side wall of this temple, and it is exactly the back side of the Garbhagriha. On this east side exterior part, we get to see beautiful Dev Kostaka, and in that Dev Kostaka there is a statue of sun god Surya Devta. How to identify the sculpture is of Surya Devta? That Surya Devta is always shown holding two bloom lotus flower in his two hands. Here we get to see Surya Devta is holding two bloom lotus flower in his backward two hands. This rock cut beautiful lotus flower is made underneath the Devkostaka, and it is made from the single stone, that is of the base stone of Devkostaka. In the past, it was a tradition to show the sculptures or statues of elephants. It symbolizes the power, wealth of the mighty king who built this temple. On the same east side wall of this temple, exactly backside of the Garbhagriha, where we saw the Devkostaka of Surya Devta, there is another Devkostaka located in the Gopura. This Devkostaka is of Indra Devta because Indra is the guardian of east direction. It is located in the Gopura upper side of the temple. The contour of the temple is beautified with rock-cut, intricate and artistic designs of peacocks, flowers, motif, and daily instances of life. I really bow down to the craftsmen who took efforts and made such a beautiful designs on rock. Here we get to see the carving of a man who is shown riding a camel with a woman sitting behind him. So here I got to know that there are two Devkoshtakas at each side of north, east, and south on the exterior part of the Garbhagruha. And here is the south side Devkoshtaka on a Janga portion. In this Devkoshtaka, we get to see idol of goddess Chamunda, and goddess Chamunda is shown killing demons Chanda and Munda. One set of Devkoshtaka is on the Janga portion and other set of Devkoshtaka is on the Gopura portion, that is the upper part of the temple. Now, this is the Devkoshtaka located in the Gopura of the temple on south side wall. In this Devkoshtaka, we can see deity or the statue of the deity is of Lord Yama or Dharmaraja. Lord Yama or Dharmaraja is a god of death and justice. He is the guardian of south direction and his mount is black buffalo. In this sculpture, we can see he is holding Jiva in his two hands. The backside of the statue where we can see carving of buffalo as the mount of Dharmaraja. As I mentioned earlier, there is a Nagar Khana at the top of the main entrance of the temple, and here is a stepway to reach to the top of Nagar Khana. From this, we can get surrounding view of this beautiful temple. Here, it is a shikhara of the Sabha Mandapa. The small dome-like shape is a shikhara of Sabha Mandapa, and behind that there is the original shikhara of this Vitthal temple. This is beautiful shikhara of the temple. As I mentioned earlier, this temple is of Nagar type of temple architecture, and the shikhara is also Nagar type of structure. In this, there is a malaka placed at the top of the shikhara below the kalasha. So you can see the circular type of stone structure at the top of the shikhara below the kalash is a malaka, and below the amalaka there are designs which we call it mula manjari. So here you see the temple like design is a mool manjari. At each side of the mool manjari there are carvings of jalakalash and they are in the number of 7. So in total there are 196 jalakalash carvings all across the shikara. And here you see in the center a Dev Kostaka type of stone structure is called Sura Senaka. The replicas of Mulamanjari is called Kutastambha in temple architecture. And here in this temple at the Shikra, we get to see this design of Kutastambha all across the Shikra. Generally, we get to see such a design in Nagar type of temple architecture only. There is a Garuda Mandapa. Garuda is a mount of Lord Vishnu, and Vitthala is the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Hence, here we get to see Garuda Mandapa in front of the temple. Outside this beautiful Vitthala temple, there is intact and well preserved step well. The purpose was to accumulate the rainwater and supply it to the nearby residential areas. Why do we get to see step wells nearby ancient temples? The reason is that in order to construct the temple, there was a requirement of the stones. Craftsmen would dig out the ground and get the stones and would convert the stones into beautiful sculptures and carving. Then the dig out area would be converted and beautified in the form of step wells. Great saints truly said, if you want to have a salvation or moksha, the easiest way is bhakti yoga or spirituality. This beautiful Vitthal temple at Palshi is the place where one can see the confluence of spirituality and art. Friends, that's all about this Vithala temple. If you like my videos, do subscribe, share it to your friends and family.